Okay, hi. Back with the seal pool. So I've covered the sort of expected baseline blue-red, which I think is a nice default. And if somebody handed me that and said you should play this in the sealed event, I'd be pretty happy. I still think blue is going to be the definite color to play as a core color in the deck, but I wanted to explore blue-green or maybe even stretching into other colors, like we could be blue-green splash black, for instance. So I still think we play like the more powerful cards from these colors, but if we're blue-green, we get Genghis and Lessons from Life as well. Nobody and Surveillance Cam as a way to buy time to get our triggers. We also need to make sure that we increase our artifact count to the point where crying is useful. And I think everything pizza might be interesting. Like it's possible we could end up with a mana base that can support sacrificing it, as well as just being good to pick up with nobody, for instance, and being an artifact in play. So that's where I sort of start out with the blue cards, and I think even this in play, I like this more in a somewhat of a more mid-rangey or controlling blue deck. I'm happy to trade it off or make it a 3/4 on, like, play it on turn 3, and then turn 4 you play a 3-drop and pump one of them. Like that can be a pretty powerful play and can put a lot of power and toughness against your opponent's threats. So for green, we've got the Tenderize, the Mona Lisa, a couple of Packet Arms, which are really just somewhat brick walls. They play offense and defense so well. They can single-handedly stop the opponent from attacking because it just eats one of their monsters, and it gives you the life to buy time to get into more expensive spells. We've got our Ground Chuck and Dirtbag. I'm considering Krang will probably be like a 5 or 6 mana play in this build. Venus as well is quite interesting. I'm down on it, but it is still a 5/5 that's quite difficult to interact with in combat. Like, you really do need an answer of bounce tap. Just take the 5. Like, I've had it play against me where it's effectively a 5/5 unblockable. So this might be a sort of a baseline for blue-green, and then I might say, well, if I'm accessing extra mana with Mona Lisa, with everything pizza, I think I might consider Pizza Face, and then I get maybe upgrades on good interaction. And if I flick to black, we would also get like probably at least one Stomp by the Foot. We've got a black land as well to help us out. It's possible that like Death in the Family might be a better splash than Stomp by the Foot, but the fact that this can use a mutagen token or a food token lying around to give the kicker, that's quite important. So I think it would actually list it as pretty premium interaction. We look at the artifacts now. We've got more pizza, so we could even stretch into other colors. We've got Chrome Dome, so our 2-drops are a little bit wanting. Like, a lot of the time it might just be play a pizza, fix our mana, and then the odd game will have either Genghis Frog or Chrome Dome. This ends up being 23. And we're still, sort by mana value, we still have plenty of options in blue. I mentioned in the other recording that I'm not a huge fan of Return to the Sewers in a deck like this that's getting to try and be more of a mid-rangey deck rather than try to use the time advantage you get from returning an opponent's creature to their top of their deck that you might be able to get an attack in with a whiteboard from an aggro deck, let's say. In something like this, most of the time it's just you spend a card and 4 mana to put your opponent back a turn because they need to spend more mana to recast their card. You're down a card, they're missing their next draw step because they're not improved, they're not getting access to that card, they're just getting what they already had. So it's a bit of a wash. I don't hate something like this. I know the thing is, it's got like Does Machines, Everything Pizza, Omni Cheese Pizza, Surveillance Scam, Lessons from Life, lots of cards that sort of help you touch your top of your deck, get more cards, but they don't really affect the power and toughness in play. Really, it's the Bespoke Bow, the Tenderize, the Tainted Treat. Surveillance Scam does help you buy a little bit of that time, and Stomp by the Foot. Now, that's probably okay. In a lot of the steel decks that I've looked at and built, having something like 4 to 6 ways to interact with the opponent is about where it's been average. I think this is probably a little above average in quantity, if not quality. I think the quality is a little lower than I might like. I might also then look at white and red in isolation to see, especially, well, red actually, because we've got this blue-red multi-land. We've also got the Omni Cheese Pizza and the Everything Pizza, so maybe we might end up splashing some red, but I'm not really sold that any of these red cards are actually things I would want to go out of my way to splash. Like maybe Baxter, like we can try and filter the deck by artifacts and see what we get. For 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then if we filter cards by text, we also get, no, it's the same. So mutagen, I think, is what I was trying to do. Okay, we've got 2 more, so that's kind of 11 artifacts, because both of these can reliably make mutagen. There's still options, like there could be a Turtle Van or a Guac and Marshmallow Pizza. 13 creatures is a little on the low side, but if we look at the deck and we sort by mana value creatures, and we look at the 2-drops, like it's just Buzzbots, really. Which might be okay to have as a one-off, like copying it with Chrome Dome is okay. Early in the game, just putting it in front of a creature, drawing a card, buying time to make your future land drops. That's probably fine. And then we'd end up with something like this. It's also an extra artifact that, like, you can sacrifice to Stomp by the Foot or put counters on with Pizza Face. Like, that's a pretty good interaction with Buzzbot. These were the interaction spells, yeah. This is quite difficult. Like, there's definitely a space, like a world where playing something like a blue-green splash black base is good, but I'm not sure how to build it. I'm guessing something in the 4+ would probably go. Or maybe one of these Omni Cheese Pizzas, because they do, like, they might help us fix our mana for the Everything Pizza, because we could reliably get blue-green and maybe either black or red from our mana base, and then filtering white from this would allow us to use Everything Pizza, plus the Mona, yeah, that helps as well. Only having 2 of these as well reduces those hands where you get, like, multiple Everything, or multiple Pizza 2-drops, and just nothing that's actually affecting the board, and you're just cycling cards and hope that in the future you'll get a payoff. Just looking through, hard to think that we would cut another creature, but we might be able to do something like adjust the distribution a little, like maybe we could find something that's better than Venus that's a cheaper card. The problem is, like, we just don't really have those in blue and green, unless, like, we could just play a Mouser as another artifact for crying, and also just as a 2/3 body that blocks well. I don't hate that. So it also increases our artifact count. And then let's hit it by mana value, add in our lands. Like the blue-red deck had a very easy mana base to build, so let's see what we can do here. We want at least one swamp. That gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sources for black for 2, 3 black spells. That's probably okay. We've got 13 more to get, so if we go 6 islands, 6 forests, that gives us 8 sources of each. And then we could put in like a mountain or a plains, but like a mountain does help cast Nobody and Mouser, but otherwise it's a colorless land, and we'd really only be doing it for everything pizza. And we do have ways to access the 5 colors without having a basic mountain or plains. So what I might consider here, we've got 8 of white, 8 of blue, sorry, 8 of green, 8 of blue. I'm not entirely sure, like if you told me it's a swamp, if you told me it's a forest, if you told me it's an island, that's what you should do, I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll believe you. So I would sort of say, like, pick your poison and go with that as the last basic land in the deck. I think I like this as far as power is concerned, but I'm not sure if it's a better deck than the straight blue-red deck. I'm surprised the mana was so clean, and this does let you play more rares. Like, we get an extra one in Ground Chuck and Dirtbag. We get to play some powerful splashed uncommons. We get to play a powerful uncommon in our colors that shores up the 2-drop slot. We're less likely to be in situations where we just have a bunch of these small 2/3s and 1/1s that end up getting blanked by the opponents, say Donatello or Pachyderm. I'm sure right now I would say one deck, and then in 10 minutes time I might say another. I'm really not sure whether I would submit this or the blue-red deck, but given how coherent the blue-red deck was, I think that might be the way to go. What I would do if this was in paper would actually just be to sit down, build both of them, play them against each other, play them against a couple of matches against other sealed decks, maybe go to 17 lands, look at some trophy decks, build those, and actually test, is this Sultai deck beating some of these trophy decks? Is my blue-red deck performing as I expect it to be? And actually use some experience and testing time with the decks to figure out which one I prefer to play. Okay, I'm sure there's more options there. I'm sure these have not been built perfectly, but there's at least a baseline there of 2 different approaches, and it might be food for thought. All right, thanks.